We welcome to the Only Fools and Horses podcast, Chris Bennett, who has played the part of Del Boy in the Only Fools and Horses musical. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, all good, all good. I finished now. I finished last Saturday.
Oh, wow.
So that was, so that's a lot. I started rehearsals in, God, it was a long time ago, 2018.
Wow.
November 2018. But then obviously the pandemic happened as well. So it's been a long time, including the pandemic. So it was a sad day to leave, but it was also quite a nice day, nice day as well to to be leaving after 4 years, kind of thing, including the pandemic. So it's going well. So now I'm home. I'm looking out. It's really nice to spend some time with my 2-year-old son. So that's good. He says that, but as the first week draws, I'm like pulling my hair out and stuff like that. But it's good. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. So that's good.
So how many nights a week is the musical?
The musical it's 8 shows a week, and it's Monday. The shows you've got are Monday, Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and 2 on Saturday. So it's 8 shows. The only day you would get off is a Monday.
Wow, that's a lot of performing, isn't it?
It is a lot. It is a lot. I mean, 2 show days can be quite hard sometimes. But then when you think about it, if you do break it down on a normal show day, you don't have to be in work for warm up until 6 in the evening. So you do have your days to yourself that you don't have to be into work. Apart from when there's a rail strike and you have to leave at you have to be in at 7 o'clock, but you have to leave at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon to be in for 7 o'clock, kind of thing, you know. But yeah, so it's people think it's a lot, but if you do break it down, it's not that much. So really, some days you're only working the length of the show, which is like 2-3 hours a day, kind of thing. So it's not too bad. From 6 until 10. From 6 until 10, really, on a normal day.
And have you always been a fan of the show?
I've always been a huge fan of the show. I've always loved the show. It's been a great show. I mean, it's a mainstay of the British public, really, isn't it? It's been around for such a long time, and everybody knows it. I mean, even the people that you find with the show, people that come in to see the show are quite young, and they weren't around for when it first aired, kind of thing. But they are around now because obviously TV channels are repeating it. Netflix had it on and stuff like that. So there's a new generation of people that are watching the show again, which is fabulous. And and there's not many shows that you could say that TV shows that you could say that you could still watch now and you could still belly laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
You can still laugh. It can still make you cry. You know, it plays with all your emotions. And there's not that many. There's not hardly any shows really that still do that. Still hold in today's era, in 2020 kind of thing. You know, which is great. Which is great testament to the writing, great testament to the actors. You know, it's fabulous. I still watch it now. Mind you, I haven't watched it in such a long time because being in the show, some of the dialogue is very similar, but different in a way. So if I watched it when I was in the show, it would be like, oh my God, that's not right. And then I would perhaps say the dialogue wrong, like I would say it for the TV show instead of what Paul Whitehouse and Jim Sullivan's written, kind of thing, you know. So now I finished, I can actually start watching it again, which is good.
It's one of the best TV shows, definitely.
In fact, one of the best. It could be the best, you know, that's probably been made in this country, kind of thing.
So how did you get the part of playing Del Boy in a musical?
It all happened. Well, it happened a long time ago. I was in. The director asked my availability, and I wasn't available. I was in a show called Strictly Ballroom at the time, that was at the Piccadilly Theatre, and they said I wasn't available. So she left it and left it at that. And then unfortunately the show I was in closed, or was closing. We were given our notice. It was at the Piccadilly Theatre, and they called me in, and I went in and I had a meeting with the director. Then I had a meeting with the musical director, and then I went away. Then they asked me back in again, and we'd done some stuff again. And there was some original songs that I had to sing as well. A song called Zoom. Do you remember the song? It was in the actual TV.
Fat Larry's band, yeah.
Yeah, Zoom, just one look, and then my heart went. So basically, I was singing that around the piano and stuff like that, because that was originally what was going to be in the show. But then obviously, I think they had a problem with the rights and stuff like that, so it never materialized, kind of thing. But in the beginning, that's what they wanted, and they had to video it for Jim Sullivan, John's son. So then once he gave the thumbs up, I was in, kind of thing.
Wow.
And then I found out a few days later that Jim gave the thumbs up, and everything was good and it was fine. So then I finished out my contract of Strictly. I had a few weeks off, and then I started rehearsals on Only Fools and Horses.
Wow.
So it was quite lucky that, I mean, in theatre, it's quite funny. Or any kind of job that you move on to another job, perhaps not because you want to move it. It works out the fact that I wouldn't have done it unless that show closed.
Yeah.
Because obviously I was contracted to that show.
That's the story of an actor, really, isn't it?
It pretty much is, yeah. It pretty much is. If you ask people, what's a great job you've done, or a job you've enjoyed, and they will say, well, I really enjoyed this job, but I wouldn't have been able to do that job if something happened with that job and it hadn't closed, or something hadn't happened, or, there's all these things that come together that make you, which made you do that job, which was, so in a way, I was very sad that Strictly Ballroom closed, but quite glad that it did. In another way. And what's quite ironic now, that the producers of Only Fools and Horses are now the producers of Strictly Ballroom.
Wow.
And they've just opened it on tour with Craig Revel Horwood directing it, I think, from Strictly Ballroom, kind of Strictly Come Dancing. So that's quite a bit of a turnaround, that they're now the producers of the show as well. So, but yeah. So it's funny how things work out,
Yeah, and of course you got to play Del Boy, probably the best character in Only Fools and Horses. You know the show, you love the show.
Yeah.
Did you have to sort of delve into the character, or did you know the show enough?
I think anyone of my age, or anyone that will know Del quite enough. They know the sayings, they know this, that. I did watch a few things, because there are things that people do miss in his mannerisms. I mean, it was never, what we were told was, you're never going to carbon copy the character. You're never going to be, you could get an impressionist to come and do that. Do you know what I mean? So you're never going to be, you're going to play him, but as yourself, as your own way of doing it, your own interpretation of playing Del Boy. But I thought it would be quite nice to have some of his, we all know the usual mannerisms, don't we? We all know that kind of thing. And we all know if he's going to touch something, and, he's all, so I was looking for some of the smaller things that people don't usually recognize in the TV show. But when you did do them, people went, oh yeah, I remember him doing that, and stuff like that, and there's a lot of things that you took from him, like, because he was always talking, he was always running out of breath.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever noticed that, but he would carry on, and the sentences would go on forever and ever, and it would just be like, then he would have to take a deep breath to carry on again, kind of thing.
It's like a race to finish the sentence, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much so. Like, he was always sending things, even when he was talking in the pub or whatever. It was always, he would run out of breath, and that was another thing that I noticed about his character that I took on board as well. So there was little things that you could take and add, which would make him your Del Boy. But I mean, it was very, very weird, because I think every person that has ever played Del Boy or would have played Del Boy or is going to play Del Boy in the future, there's always this thing of playing Del Boy because it's David Jason, because it's, you know, it's so iconic. It's just, you know, no one ever could replace or be David Jason, you know what I mean? So there's that thing that you have, that you know, when you're in the wings and you're waiting to go out, you know, only on some occasions, perhaps on a Friday and Saturday night, they're with you straight away because they've had a few beers. But for the rest of the week, perhaps they're not that with you because they're thinking, this isn't David Jason. What am I going to get? So it takes you about 5 or 6 minutes to get them. And then once you've got them, then it's fine. You know, it's like, I think Chris Moore said when he watched the show, I think when Del Boy and Rodney first appear, your first things are, that's not David Jason and that's not Nicholas Lyndhurst. But 20 minutes in, you're like, that's Del Boy and that's Rodney. You know, so you do get them in the end. For those 2 hours or 3 hours that they're watching the show, you are Del Boy and you are Rodney, and people come out thinking, you know, we have seen Del Boy and Rodney, you know, which is testament to the show and testament to the actors that play, I suppose.
Definitely. And it must be a thin line between, as you say, not mimicking the characters too much, I guess. Yeah,
there is a thin line. Like I said, you can take certain things, and you can take certain things he says and certain things he wears, certain inflections that you can take. But then if you try to do it all, you become a mimic, and I don't think that's what people want. You know, if someone else is going to be David Jason, they don't want a carbon copy of David Jason.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You want to be your own Del Boy, I think, and it does work. It does work, and you know, and I think some of the people that come to see, I think it's opened up theatre to a new generation of people as well. People that don't usually come to the theatre or come to the West End to see a show have come to see Only Fools and Horses and been blown away and had such a great evening. They've actually gone, should we go and see something else? You know, so in a way, Only Fools and Horses has helped revive the West End a little bit, you know, after the pandemic and stuff like that, because most shows relied on tourists. You know, your big shows, your Phantoms and stuff like that, they relied on tourists. And I feel Only Fools and Horses didn't rely on the tourists. It still doesn't rely on the tourists because it's very British. I had some friends in the audience once that came to see me, and they were sat next to an American, and they said, do you know what Only Fools and Horses is? And he was like, no. And I went, why are you here? And he went, I like horses.
They never saw Miami twice then, obviously. You know, with the mafia boss.
Yeah, you know, he I think he lived on a ranch or something, and he loved horses, and it had horses in the title, so he came to see it. Do you know what I mean? But even then, he enjoyed his evening out. My friends explained what it was, what the characters are, and and they said he was laughing and he was having fun. So I suppose that's the main thing. Sorry?
At least he had a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? And that's the main thing. If you have a good time, that's part and parcel of it, I think. Yeah. Come and have a good time, have a good laugh. I mean, most of the things, I mean, it's based on the episode of Dates. The entire show is based on that episode. And they've also added the gags in from other episodes and other things and stuff like that. And it's been very well put together by Paul Whitehouse and Jim. So the writing is obviously original writing from John, and then those two have pieced everything together, kind of thing. And it's great what they've done. And I think people get everything, all those years of laughter into a couple of hours, kind of thing. And even things that you can't replicate on the stage are mentioned.
Wow. So
people still have there's a moment, I'm not going to give too much away, but there's a moment where you talk to your mum in heaven, and you know, and Rodney's just left because he's got married and it's his wedding, and he's talking to his mum, and you know, and he's he says, well, he's always been the Tonto to my Lone Ranger, you know, the Robin to my
Batman and Robin.
You know, it doesn't, you don't see it, but he gets a mention, which the audience love. You know what I mean? So there's other things like that as well that you can't replicate, but do get a mention. So everything is there, kind of thing, you know. And you know, it's a great night out. Even though I'm not in it anymore, I'd recommend.
We got to go and see, haven't we, Emily? We haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet? Oh, you should come and see it.
We want to go.
Listen, I'm sure you'll still have a wonderful evening. You'll still have a wonderful evening.
I think I'll.
That's all right. You haven't revealed too much, so.
Yeah, I won't. I thought you might have seen it. I won't reveal anything else. I haven't revealed any gags now. So yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Listen, you've seen it. You're fans of Only Fools and Horses. You've seen it all anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. The other Chris, who's usually on the podcast, he's seen it and he loved it. And yeah, he mentioned before that it's centered around the episode dates, which is probably one of the best episodes.
Yeah. No, it is the best episode, and I mean, it's weird that how it all started. I mean, I believe I might get a few things wrong here, but I believe John Sullivan was a fan of musicals, which I found, I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, he was a fan of musicals, and when he was alive, he penned the beginning of a musical script, and he got together with Chaz and Dave and wrote some songs. And then years later, after he passed away, his son found all this upstairs, up in the loft or something like that, and found recordings of songs and stuff like that. So, I mean, you got some of these people that turn around and that, you know, they say about the show, oh, if John Sullivan was alive, he'd be turning his grave. This is, you know, what are they doing to Only Fools and Horses? And really, it was John's last wish, I think, that it was made into. Yeah, he saw it on the stage. He saw it being on the stage as a musical, everyone loving it, everyone dancing, singing, laughing, having fun. I think that's the way he thought of it. And then obviously that's when his son Jim got Paul Whitehouse involved. And so listen, I found this of my dad's, and you know, and then and it was quite sad really on our opening night as well, because that was when Chaz and I think it was Chaz Hodges, isn't it? He passed away. Yeah, so he wrote a couple of the songs, and he passed away before we opened, so he didn't come to opening night as well, which is quite sad, because I think it took about 7 years in the making to get everything together, and you know, stuff like that. So for people to turn around and say, well, it's not what John would have wanted, you know, it is. Yeah. What John wanted.
Also because he started it, didn't he? And it's like his son finished it. So
yes,
great
exactly.
story.
Yeah. It's a touching story, and it's, you know, and it is what he wanted. You know, it's you know. So for people to say that, you're like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
It's what he wanted, and it's quite apt that our musical MD, well, my old musical MD on the show, Stuart Morley, musical supervisor too. He's actually got recordings of John Sullivan and Chaz and Dave singing the songs. I mean, they've morphed into a little bit of something else, but he's actually got them singing the original songs that were in the show, Where Have All the Cockneys Gone, and you know, that's one of the songs. You know, so it's quite interesting when he plays you those. You're like, oh my god, yeah, oh my god. Wow.
Of course, originally they were going to do the Only Fools and Horses theme tune, weren't they, Chaz and Dave? But they weren't available. So.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big. I think he was a big fan of them, and they were possibly friends and stuff like that. So yeah, but I think he's done a pretty good job himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Me and the other Chris have tried to sing it on the podcast, and it went disastrously wrong. You know, we're not X Factor contestants, but we've seen the show so many times.
Yeah, I had to sing it on This Morning once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Out in the garden This Morning. But yeah.
There's a lot of lyrics in that song, isn't there?
There is a lot of lyrics. Yeah, there is a lot of lyrics, and you do. I did find myself when you do the show, actually, because there's a lot of words and a lot of lines and stuff like that. I mean, even though Sunday was my day off, I felt, you know, Sunday evening I'd be going over the script because it was a new week starting, so you needed just to refresh yourself on just a few scenes. Because it is a lot.
Yeah.
Because he never stops talking. kind of thing, you know. But yeah. I recommend going and seeing it. I'm sure if you're a fan of the show, I think you'll be a fan of this.
Yeah.
You know, and it does prove it when you do get people turning up at stage door and they congratulate you on the show, and they are fans of the show.
Yeah, you can tell it means a lot to them, can't you?
Yeah, it does. I think if it wasn't up to scratch or the characters weren't up to scratch, I think they'd let you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they wouldn't
especially
be
on a
shy.
Saturday night when they've had a few too many. You know? But yeah.
What's your best memory of being on the show? Like,
I've had some wonderful memories. I mean, we always used to have a laugh. That was it was always a laugh. It was always a joy going into work, because even before the show started, you'd have a laugh in the dressing room or you'd have a laugh on stage. And I think that's what the show is about, you know, because it was a comedy, everyone was funny and stuff like that. I mean, I do miss the people now I've left and stuff like that, but I'm sure I'll probably be over it by next week. But you know, but I miss seeing them every night. I mean, I speak to them on the phone and I still say hey and stuff like that, but
not the same, is it?
No, it's not the same as being there. But yeah, you know, I have so many wonderful memories. I remember the first time I went on for the part. I look back and it is a good memory now, but it wasn't at the time, because I was in the wings and God, you were so nervous. It was like, oh my God, are they going to like me? Are they going to hate me? And I went, oh my God, I bet they're going to hate me. I bet they're going to hate me. And it was like, right, no, just do it. Just go. And
big shoes to fill. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. It is big shoes to fill. And like I say, with any person that plays Del Boy, they are big shoes to fill. And luckily, they like me. Well, I think they did. I never had no complaints, not unless people kept that from me. I never saw anything on social media. It was always quite positive on social media, which was quite nice.
Have you seen Rock and Chips?
I haven't. No. I didn't. I saw clips of it, and it was on quite a few years ago, wasn't it? And I heard not good things about it.
I enjoyed it.
Did you?
I think the guy who played Jay from In Between Us actually played Del Boy quite well.
Really?
Big role to fill.
Yeah.
A younger version.
Yeah, a younger version. Yeah. Especially when it's on television as well. I mean, it's a bit different on stage. When it's on television, where Only Fools and Horses was originally set, it is on television. So to do one, I thought it was quite brave of them. I never saw it, and I will watch it now you brought it up. I will have a look at it. But I thought it was very brave.
Yeah,
definitely.
To do. Especially because David Jason set the bar so high of playing Del Boy. Yeah. I think he did quite a good job of playing Del Boy.
Right. I'll give it a watch. I'll definitely watch it.
But it is a different kind of show. It's not an all-out comedy. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Some fans didn't like. It's more of a drama with bits of comedy in it. Yeah. But it's an interesting backstory. You know, things you would have heard in the show, you see it come to life. So
I think that's probably why perhaps some people that I've spoke to, or reviews that I read, I think it was some of the reviews I read that they didn't like it, and I think that's probably why, because they were expecting
the format was different, totally different.
Yeah, the format. Whereas, like you say, it was more drama with a bit of comedy added in and stuff like that, and that's probably why it didn't. If people watched it now, it might be a different story.
Yeah, we find that with the last 3 episodes. I don't know if you remember the last 3, but they brought it back after they won the lottery. They didn't win the lottery. Sorry, after they sold the watch.
And
became millionaires. They brought it back, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And some people don't like them.
Yeah.
But now they watch it again. They're like, actually, that was really funny. Really that was really good.
And there was what was the one that you mentioned earlier here? The one in Miami.
Miami Twice.
There's a few people that weren't too keen on that one. That was lacking a bit.
When I was younger,
of laughs.
I didn't like that one, but now I'm a bit older, I do like that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean about it. You know, it's a comedy that ages really well. You know, that you perhaps you didn't like it then, but now you do like it, or you loved it then and you still love it now. You know, whereas there's some comedies that I used to laugh at when I was younger, and now I watch them and it doesn't even make me smile. I'm not gonna name them, but you know, but yeah. Whereas Only Fools and Horses don't have that. It always surprises you. Or you always, or the gags that you did laugh in Only Fools and Horses when you were younger. Perhaps you don't laugh at them as much, but there's gags in there that you didn't laugh at all that you do laugh now.
Yeah, or you didn't understand when you were a kid, like me.
Yeah, you understand more.
I remember watching it with my parents, and the subject of Del Boy having a vasectomy came up, and I was laughing, and they were like, "What are you laughing at?"
Yeah, you don't even know what that is. You know, and that, you know, so it's different as the age as you get a little bit older and stuff like that, you know, and it was lovely. I mean, most of them have seen the show. Most of the cast, they've been to see the show. I think obviously the only two that haven't seen it is David Jason and Nicholas Lyndhurst. And I think when we opened on our opening night, Nicholas Lyndhurst was doing something at the Coliseum. I can't remember what it was. Some play, some musical thing, I think there. So he didn't come the opening night, and nobody explained why David didn't come. I think it might have been due to health reasons. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
it's great that most of the cast have seen
it.
I mean,
most of the cast came, which was great. You know, Boise, Chalice was there, you know, which was lovely. And I'm glad he got to see it before he passed. And he had a lovely night. His wife is always on Twitter,
Carol,
you know, saying about the show and stuff like that. And, you know, it's lovely. And Sue Holdness is lovely. She always pops back as well occasionally to see it again and stuff like that. You know, so they all pop in and they all love it, and they, you know, and it's nice to have their tick, their appreciation, their, you know, this is okay.
Yeah.
It's their well done. This is good. You know, for them to come back again and stuff like that. And John Chalice would always send it, if we reached a milestone of 50 shows or 100 shows or 200 shows, he'd always send a message or something like that, you know, to say, well done, guys. Or Jeff, who played Boise, I think they got to be friends a little bit, actually. They would always send each other messages and stuff like that, you know, which was really lovely, you know. So they did like it. They did like it.
That's good to hear. Yeah, we can't wait to see it, can we, Emily?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have to go.
Yeah, you'll have to come along. Well, I won't be there, but you can message me about
You'll be there in spirit. Yeah.
Tell me what the new cast are like.
Yeah.
So
with the musical, does it ever mention Margate? Does that episode come up at all? It does.
Yeah. I won't give too much away if you're going to go. There's a song. They sing a song.
Oh, okay.
With Margate.
By Chaz and Dave.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. So it's there. The song Margate's in, Jolly Boy's out in, all that kind of stuff. So it's all there, you know.
And is it being extended? Because I heard that it was stopping. And is it?
No, what they do in theatre is they extend by like 3-month periods. Okay. So if you opened a show and you say you were given a year, usually people in the show are given a year's contract. And if you open the show and you have the whole year ticket sales available to the general public, then people will be booking in for next November, next February and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Where they release them in a little tiny block each time. So it's called a 3-month block. So you put that block on sale, you sell it, then you do another block and you sell it. So what at the moment is it's extended till January, isn't it?
Oh, great. Yeah.
I think so. I think it's extended to January, and that's a block of ticket sales. And then probably nearer January, they get through Christmas. I'm not sure. This is what I'm thinking. And then they'll extend another block till March.
Yeah.
So then
I suppose it all depends on sales, doesn't it?
And it all depends on sales as well. If you if you've got a 3-month block and they're not selling, you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know, instead of a whole thing released, it's better to do it in blocks. And if it's not selling, you're like, oh God, perhaps we should finish. And, you know, that's how all shows work it. And that's why some shows finish, because they haven't sold those tickets, or they call it advanced ticket sales. If the advanced ticket sales are not that great, then you could be in a little bit of trouble. But I'm sure the show is selling. I don't know what the ticket sales are like, but it's sold great in the past, and I'm sure it's sold great in the future.
Well, everyone online that I've seen on Twitter, they all rave about it. So
yeah, they do. There's some real good fans. Some really
people who've
nice
seen
fans.
It more than once as well.
Yeah,
so that says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people come back and they're fans of the show, and they're fans of the cast as well, which is really nice. Some people make nice cakes as well, which is good. Yeah, which is great. So you get cakes delivered at stage door from people that like the show, and you know, and it's nice. And they're all very sweet. There's no bad stalkers. There's no fatal attraction thing going on.
Yeah. That's
they're
a
all
good
very
episode
nice
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all good. It's all good.
What's your favourite moment from the show, the TV show?
I do love it when they do win the watch.
Yeah,
I do love
the lesser watch.
Yeah, I do love that one. The fainting.
Yeah.
You know, he faints, he runs back in. Are we all right? Yeah, let's go back in. Where are we up to? Well, we're up to here. He faints. You know, it's just comedy gold. It is comedy gold. And the good thing, you know, and Grandad passing as well, you know, that was very sad. But then the thing with the hat, it was funny.
Yeah. Has anybody seen my hat?
Yeah. I think it's the only show that you could have something that's so sad, and then you could turn it into, you know, people are at home watching it crying, and then all of a sudden laugh.
Yeah.
You know, it's just brilliant.
That's the magic of the show, I think.
Yeah.
It makes you laugh, it makes you cry.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so successful. And you forget actually that the series was quite short. You know, it didn't go. People think it's been around for years and years and stuff, which it has. But they only done so many series, didn't they? And then
they've done a lot of Christmas specials.
Yeah.
They've done about 6 series. So.
Yeah. So as a sitcom goes nowadays, that's not much, really. 6 seasons of a comedy series, a very successful comedy series of 6 seasons is not enough. It's not much. It's just that they've done the yearly Christmas.
Yeah. Well, that's
so I always remember getting the Radio Times or TV Times and flicking through, seeing what time Only Fools was on. You know, what day was it? Or was it on Christmas Day? Was it on, you know, when was the next part? Or Boxing Day? You know, that kind of thing. And you used to look forward to that. You know, it was brilliant.
But even now, I have to watch Only Fools and Horses at Christmas. Are you the same, Emily?
Yes, I have to watch it.
Yeah.
Because it's a tradition, I think.
Last year, I bought an Only Fools and Horses board game to play.
Oh,
that was pretty awesome.
What, like a Trivial Pursuit kind
it's called Trading Games. It's like $8.99 in Home Bargains, and you get hooky goods and genuine goods. And the aim of the game is to have more genuine goods than anything. So you trade with other players, and you've got to do the hooky stuff.
Sounds good.
Fantastic.
It was really good.
Oh, brilliant. I have to keep a lookout for that.
Home Bargains. I think it's like £9 or something.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
And you were saying that was cat there.
Oh, is it a cat?
You've got a cat as well. I haven't got a cat.
This furry thing, like, coming there.
Yes, my cat.
I was wondering what that was. Oh, fabulous.
And you were saying about moments that make you laugh and make you cry. I always remember that moment where Rodney's wife, Cassandra, has had the miscarriage. And Del Boy says, you've got to be a rock for Cassandra. And he says, I don't want any crying. I don't want any booing. You go in there and you tell her about the future, how things are going to be better. And then as soon as he sees Rodney and Cassandra talking about this, he bursts into tears, doesn't he? And that's another one of those moments. Yeah. He's crying and It's just, it's just brilliant.
The whole thing was brilliant, you know, and that's why it's so loved. I think, you know, it was a great TV and still loved now. You know, even well, I mean, when was the last episode? How many years ago was that?
2001.
God, 20 years ago, 21 years ago.
Mm.
You know, was it nearly 22 years ago? You know, it's for something that's still loved 22 years later. You know, it's got to be something that's pretty special.
I had heart surgery when I was 5 or 6, like 2003, and I remember coming out of hospital and all I watched was Only Fools and Horses.
Really?
Even though it hurt to laugh, but it made me feel happy, and it made me forget about what happened a few weeks ago. It's all I binge watched when I was recovering was Only Fools and Horses. Every day, all day. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that's with kids now as well. You know, you went through that, and people that come to Stage Door, young kids that have come to Stage Door, and they've had traumatic things happen to them as well, and they've been watched Only Fools and Horses too, and you know, on Netflix or whatever, or on UK Gold or whatever, and they've done exactly the same thing, and it's, you know, it made them smile. It took away the fear of what they're going through, or the pain of what they're going through. And for that alone,
I think a lot of people did that during the pandemic, actually. Lockdown, binge watched Only Fools and Horses.
That's when it became very popular again, didn't it? In for a different generation, you know, for a new generation of people, you know, which is great.
It's a comfort show for many people, isn't it?
It's
such a great comfort.
Yeah, it is. It is a comfort. It's like a comfort blanket.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're ever in need of a laugh and feeling a bit low, and there's a lot of that going on at the moment, isn't there? You know, so just whack it on, and it always makes you feel better. Go and see the Trotter Boys.
Exactly.
They'll sort you out. You know.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us. We've only got
no problem at all. What a lovely time, and it's lovely to meet you guys.
And you too.
And if you do go and see the show, I hope you enjoy it, and I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
We got to go see it, haven't we, Emily? We got to.
Yes. You live closer though, don't you?
Oh, a lot closer. I've got no excuse. I'm only like an hour away from London. How far are you? 4 hours or 5 hours? Yeah, I've got no excuse.
Oh, yeah, that's it will probably go on tour soon.
All right. Good.